Hey everyone. So before I do any questions, I'll let you know a couple things about what happened at the courtroom. So like usual, we were waiting for the deliberations to end, and just a statistic real quick. It took 5.5 hours for the jurors to come to a decision on what the charges were, or what their verdicts were. And of course, as we know, the verdicts were guilty of first-degree murder along with special circumstances, exactly what we hoped and wanted. And a lot of people have asked me if what people's reactions were, so I'll go over that with you. The reactions in the courtroom were very emotional. I couldn't see, I was sitting all the way in the back, so I didn't see faces, but I know that it was emotional with Gabriel's father, and it was emotional for Asaro's mom, because somebody had turned around and I guess had explained to her if she understood what had just happened, and I guess the answer there was yes, or I'm not really sure, but she knew that her son is now a convicted murderer. I mean, you know, needless to say, it was an emotional trial, and an emotional day. I mean, right before, I can't even tell you, everybody was nervous. Emily was nervous. Paula was nervous. Everybody inside the courtroom, all the media, everybody was nervous because, you know, this has become Gabriel's family. Everybody, the community has become Gabriel's family. So everybody was nervous. So now I'll look at the questions. So does his mom really saying it's not true? I'm not really sure. I can't, I don't speak Spanish. As a matter of fact, the only one of the three of us that speaks Spanish is Paula. And or, you know, from Gabriel's Justice. And so I had to ask one of the reporters what she said. So yeah, basically she just supports her son, as a mother, I guess, should. I know that I guess in that way she's a much better person than I am, because if my son was convicted of murdering a child or anybody else, I would not be, I wouldn't be supportive. No. The dad, no, the dad does not go alone. Do you think he's going to be isolated until sentencing, or placed in with all the other inmates? I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I would hope that they isolate him so that way they make sure that he makes it to his penalty phase. Additionally, I know people have asked me like what his reaction was, and I don't know if you saw, but he had no reaction. No reaction. Do you think he, so yes, guilty, no reaction, no care, no remorse, especially for somebody who was supposedly trying to save him. He had no care in the world. So that tells me that they're, you know, good try, but yeah, he wasn't trying to save anybody. Did I say his mom was crying? I was told that his mom was emotional. I wasn't told whether or not she was crying. I know when I saw her, she looked stressed, in an emotional way. So she was rubbing her forehead, and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't know. What about Gabriel's immediate family reactions? I could tell you that Emily was very emotional, and Emily's his cousin. I'm pretty sure, because we were all chatting before the verdict was read, me, her, and Paula, and I was trying to let them know how like I was a little nervous and my stomach was in knots, and so they were kind of telling me how they felt, and I know that everybody was really kind of stressed out, and so when it came to the verdict, there's not a person who isn't emotional about this. Did Asaro have more family members? I'm not really sure. I don't know who Asaro's family is. I know that his mom was there. Hold on one second. So now for the penalty phase, he's looking at the death penalty. So we'll see what happens there. California doesn't really have death penalty, correct? California has the death penalty, but California rarely ever puts anybody to death. So he will be on death row if he gets the death penalty, if that's how it works out, and he'll probably just die of old age, as other death penalty cases do. Was Gabriel's siblings there, and how did they react? No, they were not there. They are probably home with their family. What was the biological dad's reaction? Emotional. Now that he's convicted, will this help in convicting Pearl, do you believe, or do you believe hers might not be more difficult? You got to remember that Pearl's case has to first go to the intellectual disability phase, so we have to go through that hearing before we can go into everything else. So whatever the results of the hearing is, then we'll see from there. Was Gabriel's grandfather there? No. We want life. Sorrow rocked back and forth ever so slightly. You had to watch close to see it. The camera was resting on him, so I had no choice. Almost like he was trying to hold in his shit. Yeah, I don't know. I was talking to the camera guys, and they told me he didn't show any emotion. So I'm just going with that, because honestly, I looked straight and just cried, because it's a bittersweet victory that should not have to happen. It shouldn't have to be here. We shouldn't have had to go through this. Gabriel shouldn't have had to go through this. Nobody should have to go through this. You guys shouldn't have had to go through this. Nobody should have seen those pictures. Those pictures should not exist. So to say whether or not, you know, how Sorrow felt and whether I was looking at them, I can't even. So she's saying she abused her child because she's intellectually challenged. I don't know what the defense is trying to say with this intellectual disability, but intellectual disability just prevents people from seeing the death penalty, and that is part of it. In our Constitution, there's fair and something trial. I'm sorry, and it's something about. Sorry, my words are gone. But basically, if somebody is intellectually disabled, you can't put them to death. So they can't reach those higher limits like somebody else, like regular people. Why was she wearing no clothes in that picture and she looks swollen? I'm not sure. I don't know what picture you're referring to. I'm sorry. I think Gabriel can feel our love. I think that it's unfortunate, but I think that it had to happen for other children to be safe. Did the monster's lawyers speak after the verdict was announced? Which monster? If you're talking about Sorrow, no, I don't believe his lawyers did any interviews. I think that they just bugged out, and you know, they have to prepare for, you know, whatever's next for them. Yeah, when Hatami came over and hugged Arnold, that was a big touching moment. Yeah. Yeah, and just so you know, like, you know, it was hard. Just so you guys know, like, it's not something easy to have to sit there and, you know, we've worked so hard for so many years to try to make sure that we get justice for Gabriel, and today was just one of those moments where we got to sit there and feel it and see it and watch the law work in favor of Gabriel. So don't thank me, thank Hatami. I think he's really the hero in all this. He put this whole case together, and I can't imagine, because remember, we haven't even seen, I don't think, half of what he knows. He only was able to address Asaro's part, so there's more to come, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to not cry, because, I mean, it's one of those things that, again, like, you work so hard and you try to give as much information and try to, you know, get everything as right as possible. And it's just, it's more like a relief, I think. Like, we know now that at least one is done. And like I keep saying, 1 down, 2 to go. We're almost there. And we're not halfway, but we're almost there. You know, and as a matter of fact, I know people have had questions about the bill that I'm creating. And rest assured, the bill is going to be very comprehensive, and it's gonna make Gabriel proud. I missed the verdict part live. I'm sure they have video of it somewhere. Yes, two more trials to go. Yes. Gabriel does not have a grave. He was cremated. For the social workers, their next pre-trial is December 1st. Sandra, no, I'm not going to answer that. And I'm going to apologize for saying no, because I've answered it a million times. If you want, just do a search, Gabriel's Justice, Amanda. I wonder if he will say the truth now. He knows he's done. He was found guilty, so I hope that... probably not. I mean, this guy, he doesn't care. He does not care. Is it possible for the social workers to do prison time? Yes. Especially because they committed, not only did they commit crimes, but they committed federal crimes. So, remember, we're looking at felony child abuse also, along with falsification of documentation, which both carry very different terms. Gabriel's dad did not want to be interviewed, along with none of the jurors wanted to be interviewed. So people were escorted out of the building and into safety. So, and it's fair. Like I said, people have asked me over and over again how Gabriel's father has felt, and I won't bother him. I don't think it's fair to bother him. And you know, if you come to court and you see him, I say, hey, you know, please just leave him alone, because how can you? You know, why would you want to bother the man? You know, I can't do it. If he wants to say something, I'm sure he will, but I think that it's just better that you let him grieve and let him deal with this in his own way, because this wasn't something that I can't believe that this was something that he would have ever thought would have happened to one of his kids. Okay? The uncle situation, what are you referring to? You look at him and he's crying. Gabriel's father, how do you think you know? How do these people think she would feel? You know, it moved me today. Again, no, Gabriel's siblings were not there. They're probably at home trying to move, you know, heal and move on with their lives. So addressing the whether or not Gabriel was gay, I'm just gonna say that nobody, I mean, he's 8. He was 8. I don't know many 8-year-olds who know what their sexual preferences is at that point in time. So it doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It just does not matter. What mattered is, not only did he beat him, he fucking tortured him. Why does it matter whether or not he said he was gay? It doesn't matter. And you know, the other thing that doesn't matter is, it doesn't matter if they were on drugs, or if they were on alcohol, or if they did it for money, or if they did that. There's no excuse. It doesn't matter what their reasoning is at this point. What matters is that they did that, and now he's gone. That's what matters. And I'm sorry if you guys, you know, I know I'm sounding like kind of bitchy and emotional, but it just doesn't matter. You know, we're talking about an 8-year-old who had to suffer for 8 months through torture. His body was burned. He had shot BB gun pellets shot. He was kicked in the penis for laughs, for giggles. Okay, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, it just doesn't matter. There was no actual accusation of sexual abuse. Honestly, I don't know why they kept saying he was gay. It doesn't matter. Yes, DDA Hatami is in charge for the people on this side for the prosecution of Aguirre, who's now a convicted felon, a convicted murderer, and for Pearl's case. The DDA Anna Lopez will be the one prosecuting the social workers. Kelsey Michael, who used to take care of Gabriel and loved Gabriel as his own child, has passed away from cancer. So he can't testify. And we have not talked to his boyfriend, nor do I know whether or not he has any information. Did Sarah's mom know he was being abused? Gabriel was being abused. I don't know. Yeah, the jury tends to try to keep it light. The judge tries to keep it light with them. Why wasn't his grandparents there? I'm not really sure. Do the grandparents have his ashes? Probably. What are we looking at for the about me not knowing something, Witchy? Oh, I see. Does Pearl's dad stand by her? From what I can tell, and what I see just from as an outsider who's, you know, trying to report on this, it appears that he does. Does Arnold live in Texas? No. I believe he still lives here in LA somewhere. So the Pearl and Asaro, if they have any communication, there was a point in time where they did have communication. They no longer have that communication. Marisol, he was found guilty on both first-degree murder and special circumstances, so the next phase is the penalty phase. The special circumstances was torture. Torture. Will Pearl's dad testify? I don't know. We'll see. You know, we still have to get through the intellectual disability hearing and then move on from there. So I guess, you know, when the time comes, we'll find out what the defense is and how this is played out. I don't know. Is there any? Pearl's hearing is oh shoot, I think there's one coming up. Maybe no, I think it passed, and I think they're not going to go again until after the holidays. Jeanette, if you want to attend a trial, you just show up to the Clara Shortridge courthouse in LA and attend to the room. And I always post events on the Gabriel's Justice page so that people can find the information. I think that Asaro is up for the death penalty, so we'll see. I'm not sure what his sentence will be, but I can tell you I will try my hardest to be in that courtroom to hear it. He did for Asaro. Yeah, remember that Hatami is the one that has the most knowledge on this case. So the best point of the best action person we have is Hatami. He's the one that knows everything about this case, and yeah, I mean, I think we couldn't have asked for a better prosecutor and somebody to represent the people in this case. I know some people had some criticisms about his closing arguments, and in regards to whether or not he was, you know, not loud enough or not, you know, this enough or not that enough. But I think that he did an amazing job, and I think the proof is in the poison, so to say. Was the courtroom packed? Yes. Justice has been partially served for Gabriel. I will still keep posting for the other trials as often as I can. January may be a hard time for me because hopefully I'll get a job and will not be in the state, and that's just because you know I got to pay the bills. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll have that covered for you. Yeah, like I said, I think he did an amazing job, and I mean, obviously we've had some kind of contact with him, and each time you could just hear the conviction in his voice and how dedicated he is to fighting for justice, and how dedicated he is as an American to uphold the Constitution and make sure that you know, the law works correctly. So I don't think there's anybody better right now. But what do I know? He's thankfully my first attorney that I've had to watch. How do I feel? Right now I feel a little bit relief. It's still really kind of sinking in still. I feel like I probably need a hug, and I will find one of my friends to give me a good hug. Again, the father was escorted out of the building because he did not want to talk to the press. So he's, I'm sure he's hopefully somewhere, I don't know, feeling love, I hope, I don't know. Gabriel's family was only his father. So, that's the answer to that. Yeah. Did Asaro show any emotion? Did he have any family there? No. I mean, I was told he didn't show emotion. Somebody said he was rocking a little. But, he just did the same thing he does every day when he just sits there and doesn't react. His family was there, yes, his mom. I don't know when the last time he saw Gabriel. I do not talk to Arnold. I do not bother him. I think he's gone through enough that he doesn't need people asking him questions, so I don't bother him. Yeah. Okay, guys, I think we're coming up on time, and it's time for me to start getting out of this courtroom, or this place. There's still a couple of camera guys behind me, but pretty much everybody else has buggered off and moved on with their days. Yeah, so everything else you've seen, basically, you know, you've seen video, you've seen the live feed, and hopefully, you know, we'll be back again soon, going over a trial, talking about, you know, what's being discovered. Of course, a lot of the stuff is going to be the same. A lot of it will be different, and there'll be different evidence, or, you know, yeah, there'll be different evidence that will be brought to light and whatnot, and then we'll have to deal with that then. But until then, you know, stay safe, pay attention to your neighbors, be a community, you know. Let's not be self-involved so much that we're not looking up, you know, paying attention to what's going on, you know, around us, and that we don't forget that, you know, we're all walking the same path as everybody else. It's different, but we're all in this world together. Nobody's alone, and just make sure that you remember that, and you remember to pay attention. Just please pay attention. The best thing you can do, and if you see something, say something. Do a suspected child abuse report if you have to when you call a hotline. Every time you call the children's hotline to report any kind of abuse, you have to follow up with a suspected child abuse report. And if that doesn't work, contact their supervisor. Do something. Don't do nothing. Do something. It's better to get involved and make sure a child's safe than to sit back and not do a damn thing. Okay? Yes, I look forward to getting it out to you guys and making sure that everybody, you know, it's so funny because I already told you guys that there's this law or the bill that I'm creating, and I appreciate everybody's suggestions, but trust me, I've covered a lot. It's a lot. Thank you, and you guys have a safe holiday, and we'll see you back on the 27th.